In today's video, I will be dropping my improved fire battle tank tutorial for 2025. This build does a lot more damage compared to my previous build, the one I had with the supercharge. So those who use my supercharge build, make sure you guys implement this build that I'm going to give you guys, because it does a lot more damage and it's more better for survivability. So with that being said, let's get right into it. So the weapon I'm using is going to be the one-handed weapon, a very good weapon for lunging and countering bosses. The mod I'm using for that is the Absorption Adapter 5. Weapon attacks have a chance to activate the shield, reducing damage by 75% until damage equal to 30% of your health is prevented. This effect may only occur every 60 seconds. So by doing your weapon attacks, you're going to activate a shield and this is going to mitigate some of the damage. For the head socket, I'm using the Ultimate Supercharge mod. Grant 50% supercharge back to you when you use a supercharge. For the neck, I'm going to be using Ultimate Unending Power mod. Increases might by 25% and precision by 30% for 4 seconds once you attain a hit counter above 25. For the back socket, I'm using Accelerated Burnout. Ignore that one, that's actually for my regular tanking, so we're going to ignore that. Moving on to the chest here, we have Ultimate Hearty mod. Increases your health by 15%. Moving on to the leg socket, we have Ultimate Critical Prowess mod. Increases your weapon and ability critical chances by 2.5%. So this is going to help a lot with the damage. For the feet, we're going to have Ultimate Tumbling Master mod. Your dodge roll is no longer vulnerable to interrupt. When performing a dodge, gain a shield based on 30% of your max health that blocks 75% of incoming damage for 12 seconds. And last but not least, we have the hand mod, Empowered Channeling. Channeling superpowers are no longer vulnerable to interrupt, prevent standard control effects, and increase defense and toughness by 5% while active. This mod is very important because it works in synergy with the Omega Totality artifact. We get that ability Omega Beams, and Omega Beams can be interrupted if you're not using this mod. So the mod is going to help out a lot and prevent you from getting interrupted so you could do all that damage. If you guys would like to know how to maximize your damage with the Omega Totality artifact, check out my video on the end screen. I'll have it in the end screen for you guys. So now we're going to move on to the utility belt here. We have the Magic Supply Crystal Supply Drop. You could use any supply drop you want. Next we have the Pet Damage Trinket. And then our Orbital. This one is very important, the Elite Henchmen Uplink Device Envirotech Trinket. Make sure you pick up this for the spring event, which is active right now, because these henchmen do a lot of damage and they also heal you. So as a tank, this is going to benefit you a lot, because the more damage you do, you're going to heal back because of that. When I come to the artifacts, I'll explain that a little more, but you're going to heal back because of the Red Tornado artifact. And also you're going to be healing from this nutrient bubble here, which has a cooldown of 30 seconds. The bubble duration is for 15 seconds. You get 30% healing, CC resistance, which is 25%, and the duration is 12 seconds. Deploys a nutrient-rich bubble of water near an enemy target. Injured players can collect the bubble to be healed and give an increased resistance to control effects. So this bubble will heal anybody, and as a tank, it's going to be right next to you. So whatever you target, the bubble is going to be right next to you, so you can move into the bubbles. I think they do about 6 bubbles every summon. So this is a quick demonstration how that henchman heals. So look at bubble right here. It healed me there for 473,542. That's a nutrient bubble. So that was the first heal. Take some more damage here. Alright, there's the next one here. Nutrient bubble heal War Machine for 473,542. So just stepping into the bubble is going to heal you as a tank. It heals anybody in the group, so whoever steps in first is going to get the heal from it. Moving on to the artifacts here. For the first artifact, we have the Quizet, granting us 5% health, 4% might, and 3% precision. The Quizet also grants ability to Mega Blast, grants the player 1% supercharge. The Quizet is very important because it works in synergy with the Red Tornado artifact, and I'll come to that artifact later on. It does a lot of healing. Depending on how much the damage the Quizet does, it goes towards healing, and I'll demonstrate that later on. Moving on to the second artifact here, we have the Omega Totality artifact. It grants the ability to Omega Beams. It's basically self-explanatory here. A lot of you guys should know about this artifact by now. Everybody's using it. I can see different powers here, how much damage it does. If you guys would like to know more about this artifact, check out my video in the end screen. It will give you guys a general idea how to maximize your damage with that artifact. So moving on to the last artifact, which is going to be the red tornado artifact, very important. The red tornado redistribution model artifact, giving us 5% health, 4% dominance, and 3% restoration. Tank roll, taking damage gives you the following for 10 seconds, grant you 25% might, which is very helpful for the battle tank build, and 12.5% precision. Damaging enemies heals you for 15% of the damage done. So the more damage you could do to enemies, the more healing you're going to do. The Omega Totality and the Quiz Death helps you do a lot of damage, and this goes towards your healing. These artifacts work in synergy with each other. The Red Tornado, the Omega Totality, and the Quizlet. These three artifacts work in synergy. The Omega Totality do a lot of damage, and the Quizlet is also doing damage, so all those goes towards healing. So continuing with the description here, upon taking damage equal to 225% dominance plus 285% restoration, you're going to pulse out a redistribution tornado dealing damage equal to 70% of your dominance and 70% of your restoration to all nearby enemies. So you're going to get some extra damage from that when it procs. These are the artifacts I use for swapping: Dead King Scepter, Pied Piper Flute, and Eye of Gemini. You don't necessarily have to use the artifacts. If you don't have them, it's alright. I just use them to get some extra damage on the board. So if you have them, take advantage and use them and get some extra damage. But you don't necessarily have to have them. So now we're going to move on here to the allies. For the combat ally, I'm going to be using House of Legends bot. I'm using that ability there. Shock Jock, that combat ability. Does a lot of damage on single target. You could also use Crypto if you want. Crypto also does a lot of damage on single target. Or you could use any of the others that do AoE damage. For example, Shazam, if you have that, it's your preference. Whatever ally you have for damage, you could use it. For the second ally, I'm going to be using Zatanna with that support ability there, Out of a Hat. Abilities that apply a power interaction, which is a PI, have a chance to pull a random animal from Zatanna's hat, granting a buff for 12 seconds with a 30-second cooldown. The effects as follows: Dove, damage reduction shield, which is good for the tank build. Elephant, power cost reduction, give you back some extra power. Rabbit, increase your critical chance and movement speed, very good for the battle tank build. You move faster, get some extra critical for damage. Tiger, increases might and precision, so that also benefits and increase your damage. You can see the current rank bonuses here. So starting off, we had D for Dove, plus 25% damage reduction. E for Elephant, 25% power cost reduction. R for Rabbit, plus 5% critical chance, plus 30% speed increase. T for Tiger, plus 10% might, plus 5% precision. So you can't go wrong. Anything from Out of a Hat, any of these abilities going to help you. The shield going to help you, the power increase going to help you, the speed increase, the criticals, which is critical healing and critical damage, and also the might, 10% might and 5% precision, also going to help you towards your damage. So you can't go wrong. All these are going to benefit you a lot, especially for battle tanking. So with this ally, it's a plus. Now we're going to move on to the third ally, which is our support ally 2. For my support ally 2, I have Queen Diana. You don't necessarily have to have this ally. This ally is very good for buffering the whole group, and I'll explain how this ally works. I'm using that ability there, Don't Weaken passive ability. Upon a successful breakout, you receive extra might per nearby group member, 1.2% might per nearby group member once that ally is maxed out. So it's going to be 9.6% might if you have 8 group members in your group. And also pets count towards players. So if you're doing a 4-man, for example, alert, and the pets will also count as players, and you will always get that 9.6% might, because a lot of people use henchmen and damage pets and so on. So you're always going to get that buff to be active, and it applies it to all group members, so everybody in a group going to get 9.6% might. The description kind of terrible with this ally, how they had a description for it, but that's how the ally working at the moment. If you don't want to use this ally, you can use Batman, or you can use the Batman who laughs also. But this ally too is very good because, let me explain this ally here. Using that ability there, From the Shadows passive ability, Upon entering combat, gives the percentage increase of might and precision for the first 6 instances of damage dealt, reaching 60 on the combo counter, refreshes from the shadows and resets the counter. So when it's maxed out, you get 10% might and 5% precision, which is going to be very good. So every time you enter combat, you're going to get that 10% might to be active, and that's going to be for the first 6 hits. So after the first 6 hits, you know, the might is not going to be active anymore. So, you know, and also when you get that counter up, it's going to activate from the shadows. Now I'm going to show you guys here my augments. I'm using all might augments. I'm using the Mighty Magic Tome Adaptive Augment, giving me here 3% might in the content and 3% here, so that's 6% total for both augments. And then I have the Mighty Implant Origin augments here, maxed out at 412, giving me some extra might. So now we're going to move on to the weapon here. How I expect the skill point in the weapon. Only 1 skill point in my weapon, which is one-handed, a very good weapon to have. Good for lunges, good for countering. Now I'm going to move to my movement, which is super speed. I'm going to get the speed force here to make me move faster. And I'm also going to get all my innates. The innates are very good for power, recovery, and so on. So the innates are very good as a tank for power recovery and stuns and so on. Very good. So you make sure and get those innates. All these innates here. Doesn't require much skill points. About 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, about 7 skill points. If you don't have a lot of skill points, you can maybe just get the 1 skill point only in the movement speed. So moving on here to the iconic powers. Alright, for the iconic powers, you only need 1 iconic power here, which is Sonic Cry. You don't really need the last, so that's for my other builds. So I just need this Sonic Cry. That's all you need here. This Sonic Cry. That's all you need. So moving on to the start points, you're going to put 1 skill point into super powered to get that 10% might, 10% power, and 25% power regeneration. Then you're going to max out critical healing chance, which is 20 skill points in that, and critical healing magnitude, which is 40 skill points. Then put 20 into critical attack chance and 14 to critical attack damage. The rest of skill points, you're going to dump it into might and power. Max out your might and power if you can. And if you have extra skill points, dump 100 into resto, 100 into health, and 100 into dump. When you work on the skill points, you can just put 100 in each, so you kind of balance off and you get the most stats by doing this. So 100 in the resto, 100 in health, and 100 in dump for more survivability and more healing. So moving on to the loadouts. For the first move, we have Immolation. This move is our main shield, mitigates 35% of the damage, and also activates the PI Burning, which helps proc that Zatanna support ability out of a hat. For the second move, we have Sonic Cry. This is going to be a move that does damage and also CC adds. It's stun adds, basically. Flashpoint going to be the third move. It's CC adds and also do damage. Engulf is going to be our main pull, our range pull. It applies the burning effect, which is the PI that procs the Zatanna support ability out of a hat, and also builds Omega Beam very quickly. Omega Beam is going to be the main move here that does a lot of damage. So the faster you can do the rotation, the faster you can build Omega Beams and do a lot of damage. Fireball Barrage is going to be our supercharge. That also does a lot of damage, especially when you artifact swap with it. It does a lot of damage. So as I said before, the Engulf and the Immolation are going to be the 2 moves that activate the burning and activate the PI. And you can see that the out of a hat ability applying the PI going to give us the following benefits: dove, elephant, rabbit, tiger, and so on. So let me just demonstrate here. Immolation. Apply that burning here. It procs the dove. You see on my head here, that's dove, invisible shield. Gotta wait for it to proc again. So this flashpoint knockdown and Sonic Cry stun. And Engulf. Applies the burning. Spam the engulf here. Alright, you seen it here. It's about the proc. So that's a rabbit here. That's speed increase and critical. So you guys have a little idea there. So if you guys notice in the loadout, I don't have any moves for healing. I don't have a single move for healing. I don't have Stored Flames. I don't have Burning Termination. I don't have Backdraft. So you guys must be wondering why I don't have any healing moves. There is a reason for that. The artifact is going to be healing me. The main artifact, which is the red tornado artifact, red distribution tornado. That artifact is going to be doing a lot of healing because it heals based on how much damage you do. So your pets count toward damage. So if you have henchmen, they're going to count toward the damage. The Quizette also going to count toward damage, as I said before. So let me show you guys here. Before I get into the Parses here, let me show you guys a quick demonstration here. So red distribution model healing me here. If you see how much damage I'm doing, my health's kind of low here, so I'm going to try to heal back. If you notice, as I said before, no healing moves whatsoever. No backdraft for those double heals. I'm doing a lot of healing. When you see red tornado distribution model healing, that's all you're seeing. That's all you would see. It wouldn't tell you exactly what healing, what moves are healing, but all those moves I'm doing for damage, Sonic Cry, Flashpoint, Engulf, and so on, Omega Beams, all those moves are healing me. You can see the numbers there. It doesn't tell you exactly what move is healing me, but it is red tornado Redistribution model healed War Machine for so much and so on. You've seen it. So let me put it up here so you guys have an idea here how much I heal for. See, red tornado Redistribution model heal War Machine. Look at the healing. A lot of healing. That's all I mean. That's all healing me, Only the artifact alone is healing me with how much damage I'm doing. So that's why I'm not using Backdraft, Stoke Flames, and so on. I'm prioritizing on doing damage and stuns, so I won't take a lot of damage. So that's why I'm using Sonic Cry and Flashpoint. Those moves are going to CC a lot. Sonic Cry stuns and Flashpoint knock down the odds. Backdraft, I have to sacrifice the Backdraft for the Omega Beams. If my all over, I used to use Backdraft to get double heals from it, but this one actually heals more because of how much damage I do. So the more damage I do, the more I heal for. Yeah, so based on the numbers here, that's a lot of healing there from the red tornado redistribution model there. Now moving on to the juicy stuff. How to use the loadout and the passes that I'm getting here. Starting off with Immolation, your shield, Sonic Cry, Flashpoint, Engulf. Keep on rotating once they come out a cooldown. You could also spam the Engulf here to build up Omega faster. So as Omega is ready, hit that Omega too. The build is not really about building up Omega quickly. You want to have a build that is good for survivability, and you want to be able to do your job as a tank. You want to be able to pull adds and so on. And you guys can see from the passes here, ignore the first pass there. Getting some nice passes there, 9 mil, 11 mil. $11 mil again. $8.6 mil. It dropped there a little bit. I think all my moves are not hitting. Drop a little bit there. I think the adult to spread out. The Omega gonna bring back the damage here when I hit it. 12 mil. If I get next 12 mil back to back, that could be nice. 12 mil again, back to back, nice. Feel the damage might drop again here. Dropped there a lot there. It dropped very low there. That one dropped very low. But I got 12 and 12 back to back. That was pretty good. Let me see if I do it correctly here. 11 mil. 11.9 mil actually. Faster, bigger Omega. But remember, when you're tanking, you actually have to do your job as a tank. 12 mil, yeah, that's pretty good. I think you can get the damage back to back if you do your rotation properly. See, again, some pretty nice numbers there. Not a lot like my DPS, you know, you take a hit with the tank, DPS get 10% more extra damage, I think. It's like 10%, something like that. 10% extra damage. Tanks take a hit, they don't get that extra percent damage ability here. So this is the passes here, guys. Ignore the first pass there, that 4.1 mil, whatever. 9 mil, then 11 mil, 11 mil, that's pretty good. Three high passes there. Then we dropped down a little bit there, 8.6 and 6.7. We went back up there to 12 mil with Omega, 12 mil again there. Dropped down again at 3.6, drop, raise again to 11.9, 12, and ignore the last, well, that's the last pass there, 11 mil, never mind. So yeah, 11, 12, and 11. I think I cut off the last pass there. So yeah, so those are some nice passes there, not too bad on 8 targets, you know. Not too bad. Remember, you want to have a loadout that could be able to do your job as a tank. You want to be able to pull ads, survive, CC ads also, you know, and do damage. And I'll show you guys a little clip here how I actually artifact swap and so on and do a lot of damage in actual content. I do a lot of damage because I'm able to pull all the ads together and hit the Omega Beam, so I don't miss any ads compared to when I'm DPSing. I miss some of the ads, the Omega Beam don't hit. And I'll show you guys how I do this. So enjoy. So I'm going to show you guys here how to use the loader and some little tricks here you could do to build up your Omega Beam very quickly. So before we start the raid here, I'm going to use my powers here to get that Omega Beam maxed out. So it's orange there, it's maxed out. Swap my artifact here, put in that Pied Piper Flute. Just wait in here. So the first thing I'm going to use, 2 powers, hit the supply drop and then hit the Fireball Barrage. Get the rats to proc there, get the extra damage, and hit the Omega there, kill every single thing there. Got a lot of damage there off of that. Swap artifact again here. That was a Dead King Scepter. Hit the Orbital, kill everything again. Moving on to these ads here. Omega is ready again. Hit the Omega. When you do in the Omega Beam, you can swap artifacts also because it's a channeling move. So you could swap artifacts when you're doing the Omega if you're a fan of swapping artifacts. So you can see I'm stunning the ads and CCing the ads and so on. So I'm taking a lot of damage and also healing back too. So when I do damage, I'm healing back. Hit that Omega, get some damage from that. And some healing also. So I'm stunning the ads and stuff here. Hit the Omega. Get a lot of healing from it. And I kill them very quickly. The red tuna just proc there. See, I'm stunning the ads and so on. Sonic Crown, Flashpoint. And I also build an Omega Beam very quickly too. So I'm getting off a lot of damage. Alright, so I already built my Omega. I'm at 60 mil here. My Omega is full. It's glitched out right now, I haven't seen any color on it, but it's at full right now, it's orange. So when I use it, I'm going to get the full benefits from it, but I'm actually going to use the Fireball Barrage first, get all those nice juicy damage here from the rats. And the red tin will also proc there. Alright, let me swap back here. So I'm going to be swapping artifacts a lot, guys, when I do my rotation. That's to maximize my damage. And you see how much damage I'm doing here. I'm getting Omega very quickly. So I'm getting a lot of damage from it. The loadout is pretty solid because you could CC ads, so you won't take a lot of damage. Also, you can heal yourself by the amount of damage you're doing. Omega, when you hit that Omega Beam, do a lot of damage. At 115 mil there, I can see there. Now we had the Granny Goodness fight. I'm gonna actually take damage on purpose. I'm gonna try to launch that ball that she does to see if I could actually survive it. Alright, that's it there. We can survive. The proc there, you see the red thing in the proc. I just want to show you that there. When I take some damage in proc, I automatically pop my soda because I'm so quick with the reflexes there. I was going to try to heal back and show you guys, but it's all good. So when you're battle tanking, make sure you try to pull all the adds close enough so you can hit the Omega Beam. That way it hits every single thing. As I was showing you guys earlier, I was pulling everything together and hitting the Omega Beam just to kill everything close. Alright, everything is on me here. Alright, you see all those things that proc just down there, those little gold symbols over the ally's head? That's the Queen Diana ally procking, getting that 9.6% might buff for the whole group. So that helps the whole group a lot, especially if they're might based. It's going to help with the damage. So Granny Goodness is dead here very quickly. So let's check the scoreboard here. 169 million overall damage, 22.6 million post damage. Not too bad. If you guys found this video very helpful, please give it a thumbs up, share it to your friends that play DCUO online, and if you want, you can subscribe to the channel for more videos. Also, I have the fire DPS video here on the end screen, and also that Omega Totality artifact video. So you guys can check it out if you guys want. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one. You guys take care.